Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is Miro's webinar on Microsoft Cloud licensing considerations. My name is Sean Donahue, the VP of Marketing here at Miro Consulting. We're going to begin in about a minute. We're just going to give everyone a chance to log in, update their Zoom clients, get to the right screen, etc. Again, if you're just joining us, we are beginning in 1 minute or so. We're just going to give everybody a chance to log in, get situated. All right, thank you for joining us. My name is Sean Donahue. I am the VP of Marketing at Miro Consulting. This is our webinar on Microsoft Cloud licensing considerations. Your presenter today will be Vince Allison, Senior Analyst of our Microsoft practice, a Senior Analyst at our Microsoft practice. Today's content was put together with the best resources, consulting the clients that we work with on an everyday basis. We experience all the aspects of Microsoft licensing. As of course, you know, a lot of it is moving to the cloud. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And right now we're in much of a transition period. So we're going to really work hard to help you understand what pieces are where, because a lot of Microsoft products have a foot kind of in the cloud and a foot on premise. And we're going to clear that up. But before we get started, I want to let you know one thing. If you're the type of person like me who just takes screenshots of every slide and writes notes furiously and all that, don't bother. You're not going to need to do that. At the end of this webinar, I'm going to send you our brand new Microsoft Cloud Licensing Guide for 2023. It just came out last week. It will cover all of these types of products, all the most popular Microsoft products, where they are, what you should do about it. Let's go to the next slide. So just real quick about us. We are the leading provider of software asset management, subscription management services for Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon Web Services, and Salesforce. We help you not get audited. We help you fight audits. We help you save money. We help you negotiate contracts on all these things. Most important things are this. We have a performance guarantee. The cost of your savings will be more, the amount of your savings will be more than our fees. So there's no risk in working with us. And number two, when it comes to Microsoft, we have a very specific program. And that is, we will take a look at your entire Microsoft licensing situation for free. We will take a look. We will do a second look. You might think I've already got somebody looking at that. Every time we look, we find more savings. Every time we look, we find additional compliance issues that your typical Microsoft reseller misses. But what's most important to know about your typical Microsoft reseller is that they are contractually obligated to report any non-compliance situations to Microsoft. And if you didn't hear me, they will rat you out. They have to rat you out. They're contractually obligated to. So if you wondered whatever triggered that Microsoft audit you got that one time, there's a very good chance it was your reseller saying audit them. We are not a Microsoft reseller. We are not a partner that is required to talk to them in any way. So if you want an independent, private, confidential review of your Microsoft licensing for free, that is a service we provide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Vince to get into our presentation on these changes happening with the cloud. Vince.
Thank you, Sean. So we'll get into what we're going to cover, the Microsoft Cloud overview. What does that mean? One of the big things to remember is not only Microsoft, but pretty much every vendor out there is kind of going to that cloud or hosted type subscription product or solution. They're not only doing it for their most popular products, but they really seem to be doing it as going forward to be their go-to for products. If you look at some of the more popular products of Microsoft, let's look at Microsoft Office, for example. Microsoft Office has really been moving slowly and steadily towards was Office 365. Now Microsoft changed it to Microsoft 365. And going forward, that's probably going to be the way that Microsoft really wants to go with products such as Office, to make it as a subscription only. You won't have that on-prem, copy you buy and you keep it forever. They kind of want to go to where you're paying that subscription fee, and to use that product, you have to keep that subscription. You have to keep that subscription going. On that, the past year, Microsoft has made some changes, not only to the products available, but also to the hosted solution and the hosted services that are out there that Microsoft has. That they have the cloud providers that offer this to you. They made some changes to those cloud providers that offer you these solutions. And we're going to cover some of those changes as well. So
sorry about that. I was talking on mute. I just want to quickly point out that, this is one of the main things our licensing guide is going to cover. We are going to cover how these different products, where they split apart, where they used to live sort of together on premise. Now they're actually kind of ending up in these three different categories. You're probably familiar with them: SaaS, PaaS, and the one we all haven't really figured out how to pronounce yet. But with that, I'll give it back to Vince.
So as Sean has said, these are a lot of terms you see. The publishers are using these as to kind of group or to consolidate their products into different silos of how they're being used and the actual solution. So software as a service, you figure it's the service, it's a product of using the product. You click on it, it runs. Office 365 is the perfect example. You get the solution, you want to use Word, you click on it, it works. There's nothing really you have to do to use the product. The infrastructure as a service, this provides some of the cloud computing and storage needs that you may need. Think of the SQL-based Azure, things like that, where you have the actual application, such as SQL. It's not yours. You don't load it up. Microsoft has it on Azure. You run it from the Azure solution, and it's there for you. You don't have to worry about configuring a lot of the stuff for the server. It kind of saves us the time from having it on-prem, but it's also it's managed by the publisher. Now, platform as a service kind of works off the infrastructure as a service and makes it a little bit more detailed and a little bit more ready. In the Microsoft world, there's things called Azure App Services and Azure Active Directory. What these are think of them as like apps you download on your phone. You want to do a solution, you want to use a product, or you want to do something, you can download this app. It has a lot of the things ready. It's not a solution in that it's like running completely as you want it, but it has a lot of the tools and a lot of the systems ready to go that you can just add on things to it, and it has that makes that solution for you. So it really cuts down on like a lot of the programming and things you may need. Things like Azure Active Directory, same thing. You don't have to manage your Active Directory on your network. You kind of have Azure directed. It's all stored on the cloud, and Microsoft kind of manages that online for you.
And I should mention real quick before we get into this virtualization slide, virtualization is a very important thing to look at. We found that it is one of the absolute top things that causes compliance issues. People make virtualization mistakes, the way they set it up, the certain features that they set. What I usually tell people is the better your virtualization works, the probably more out of compliance it is, unfortunately. So keep that in mind when you're looking at virtualization. It is both by far one of the biggest challenges for licensing, and it is one of the biggest things that leads people to us. We find in our search histories that people have a lot of virtualization questions. So if you're looking at any one particular thing for compliance, I want you to look at this one. Vince?
Okay. So what are these changes? One of the big ones Microsoft has is flexible virtualization. This was a software assurance benefit that they had, that you could move products from the cloud, from your on-prem, you can move it to the cloud offering. And there were certain providers that were available that Microsoft didn't allow you to move to. They kind of changed some of those on there, made it a little bit easier to move from like an on-prem, or Microsoft loves to use the term hybrid system. You have your on-prem system, you have the cloud, you kind of want to move back and forth. You want to do it as you want to do it, not just make it a complete solution one way or another. This allows you to do it as needed. You want to go to the cloud full of it, you need the computing work, or if, say, the cloud goes down, you kind of want to go back to on-prem. This allows you to do it. And Microsoft's really been relaxing some of those terms to make it easier for you to kind of choose. You don't have to make that complete choice of going 100% cloud or 100% on-prem. That hybrid solution is kind of going forward, and that's kind of the way they're really pushing, which is really kind of a benefit for you in that end. You can also now purchase some pre-built hosted desktop and server solutions based on the license that you already own. A lot of times in the past, when you wanted to do that, you had to buy the solution from the provider. There were some other terms on that of using one that they actually pre-built for you. Now they've kind of increased the terms and ability. So you have the license for Windows Server. You can now use the pre-built Windows Server solution they have with the licensing that you already own. So that can save you some money on buying the licensing terms or the licensing costs for that solution. Another big one is the virtual desktop application, the VDA. This is an area, and we'll kind of get into some of the other areas, but this is an area where a lot of customers tend to be over licensed in the past. The reason is you bought this VDA subscription, you had the rights to use the desktop OS under some other options. Microsoft kind of limited the qualifying desktops for that. And you need the VDA subscription if you do not have a qualifying desktop, a qualifying operating system for that. They removed that VDA from some of the subscriptions. Now it's still in the Microsoft E3 and E5, but there are some that were in it in the past that have been removed. And here's an area where we will be more than happy to help you look at your solution that you're using and kind of go through that based on your needs to kind of show, are you paying for this? Do you need it? Or is it something that you may see as an extra cost you may have to use down the road? So the cloud license changes continued here. With the solutions that Microsoft had, there have been some like volume agreements. The problem is you came from, in the past, you came from buying your volume licensing agreement. There was a 3-year contract with Microsoft. You had your what's called select or enterprise agreement. You had these licensing terms. It was 3 years. It was annual payments, made it really easy to manage. When a lot of people went to the cloud, a lot of the cloud providers went to annual terms, or there was other things on there that made it a complete licensing change from the way that you used to purchase. Now Microsoft is changing that you have a 1-year option that you can buy in the cloud, which can help if you're moving, you want to take time, you want to learn how to use that solution, maybe see if it's a good fit or not. You don't want that 3-year commitment. Or if you know you want it and you want to go to it, now there's a 3-year subscription also. So really, if you look at this, Microsoft's kind of matching that volume licensing the way the on-prem licensing used to be, and kind of making it somewhat like it was in the past, the cloud offering. So this can kind of make it simpler for you. It makes your billing and the payments that you make probably a little easier now because you can match it to the way that you bought in the past. One of the other areas that change as well, if you had software assurance on your Windows server, you can now, again, as I kind of mentioned before, you can move those workloads and you can move these things to Azure. And this can be based on the physical cores that you've licensed to go to Azure virtual machines. Again, this can help you if you have the hybrid, if you're moving a piecemeal, if you want to do the complete move. Here again, you already have these licenses. You can use those licenses in the cloud now, so you're not losing the cost or the money that you spent. You're also able to use these products, going forward and just kind of help you budget now. So you don't have to worry about how much do I have to spend on the cloud, how much am I spending on prem. These things can help you determine where you want to go, and you're not using those costs. And again, here at Miro, we can really help you with that, with any of the solutions you're looking at or any of these choices out there. So it's not something that you have to make and you're kind of stuck with that purchase. It's really important to kind of work with somebody that can kind of help you understand where you're going and how these changes can affect you and your costs and your purchases. So real quick, cloud providers exceptions list. The changes do not apply to all cloud providers. What I have here are the top 3 cloud providers out there that you can go through. There are some others. Some of them are a little bit smaller. Some of them maybe big. What I think is and to get this area, if you're not using one of the top 3, it's really important. Give us a call. Be more than happy to go on a call with you, find out which provider you're using, see if it is on that list, because this list can change daily. Microsoft can come out tomorrow and add to this list or reduce from it. So I always like just to put the big ones. Microsoft most likely is going to keep these. It's the other ones that may change. And those are the ones that there's a good chance if you're using them, we can help you. We can help you understand, is it going to affect you, or are these changes affecting you or not? Work with us. We'll be more than happy to walk through it and understand where you are and where you're going.
And I'll quickly mention that if you are an AWS customer, we have a great way to save you money on your AWS costs. We save our typical customers about 20 to 40%. So if you were looking to do that and you don't have a lot of time to spend, it takes about 5-10 minutes worth of work on your side, and we can give you a number on what will save you on AWS. Vince?
So another area that the cloud licensing has changed, and this doesn't just work just with cloud licensing, but also kind of on-prem, is the Windows Server. Windows Server in the past, if you've licensed it and you wanted to do virtual instances, you know that you had to license the actual physical host. And you either license it with standard, where you got 2 virtual instances and you could stack those Windows Server standard licenses, to get more virtual instances, or you could go with data center and get unlimited virtual. The problem is where was that cutoff? Where did you save money, and how was it how are you going to be using the licensing? How are you going to go down the road? Now what Microsoft did is they allow you now to license. You still have that option to license by the physical host. You also now have the option to license it by virtual instance. The licensing by virtual instance, if you're thinking of Microsoft products and examples, think of how SQL Server is licensed, of where you can license SQL Server Enterprise and you license the host and get the unlimited virtualization. Or you could license the instance of SQL Server because you're using vMotion or some type of on-demand where it moves the virtual instance throughout a network. You could license that particular instance based on the virtual cores supporting that instance. Windows Server now offers that. So this is a big change with Windows Server. It was just last year that this and some, these other changes have happened. But this is a big area where I've gone through with customers, and we've discovered that licensing Windows Server by virtual instance has been cheaper than licensing it by the host. It can be also cheaper if you're going through the cloud, if you're moving these from back and forth. You know, if you're licensing this virtual instance, it's really big to understand how this is licensed, how this change can affect your Windows Server. Almost everybody out there is using Windows Server out there. You know, most of your devices are probably using it. So it's good to know how is this licensing option going to change? Is this going to be better for you or not? You know, and if it is, how much is it going to save you? And how are these different options there? Here's where I can come in and I'll help you. We'll help you understand that, break out the options for you so you can understand each choice that you're going to make, how it affects your company and how it's going to affect your budget.
And again, I know this is all coming to you very fast. And just a reminder for those who walked in late, we're going to send you a licensing guide that's going to cover everything. That's why we go so fast in our webinars. We always provide additional information afterward. Vince?
Thanks. So the Windows Server licensing, again, the changes may appear to be simple, but understand like anytime a change happens, you know, you always kind of wonder, is the publisher, is Microsoft doing it because they know they're going to make more money down the road, which a lot of times it can be if you don't understand how it's going to affect you. Any change you make should be reviewed for how it's going to affect your compliance and how it's going to maybe decrease your licensing cost. And here again, this is where we help you. This is where we come in, help you understand where you're going and how it's going to affect you, your cost, and move forward. So some challenges that you're going to experience. The big one is licensing compliance. As Sean had said earlier, just because it's going to a subscription, Microsoft and publishers like to make you think it's going to be simpler now. You're paying so much per user, so much per usage. You're going to save money. It's easy now. Not necessarily. There's a lot of customers that have been non-compliant based on their software, based on how they use the subscription. There's too many licenses. You may have too many licenses. That's the big thing. You're spending money that you're not using. And that's an area where you can definitely cut and it's going to save you money. Software restrictions. It's important to know how these changes, if there's any restrictions on a particular software title. Is it going to stop, not be able to use it the way you want to use it? This is where we come in, of how we help you and we help you understand it.
And to be clear, one of the things that we find is our biggest cloud migration issue for a company like us that does software asset management and licensing is that people don't realize they've got an out of compliance environment. And then they plan on moving their out of compliance environment to the cloud. And then they say, how did we end up in the cloud out of compliance? Well, the secret is get in compliance first, migrate second. Vince?
Thanks. Again, just covering these areas, I kind of hit this earlier. It's the end user tracking, paying double for license, under planning your data usage. Here again, real big areas to understand. And remember, if you're going to do these moves, why it's very important to work with somebody that can walk you through these options. So some other challenges, make sure the correct version is being used. There's some products like Office that may require you to use the most current version. You want to know that if you're going to do that decision, is it going to affect your network? If you don't move, how that's going to affect your licensing terms or affect your compliance? Here's where we can help you. Again, know your other options. What other options are available out there for subscription options or other products you could add maybe to your solution or your subscription offering that can maybe help save you some money. Another area, agreement expiration date. When does your agreement expire? How does that affect Microsoft's annual budget? How does it affect their area where they are? Microsoft Teams within Microsoft. Considerations of what products you're looking at. Each product group has its own team. A lot of those teams have their own budget and their own money that they can throw your way if there's an issue or if you need better savings. Again, we can help you understand that, help you see what teams are out there, and maybe help you with some negotiation with these different groups.
And before Vince gets into this one, I just want to say that one of the big problems with bundling, there's good things and bad things about bundling your software. So obviously you're going to save more money the more you buy. But one of the things it does is it will lock you in to a whole suite of products. Maybe you don't need them all. One of the things I'm going to send you, along with my Microsoft licensing guide, is a research paper that we worked on with Google that essentially was funded by Google, I should say. It's our research paper funded by Google that they've chose us to look at this marketplace and report on how Microsoft can sometimes really take advantage of certain clients. They really specifically take advantage of public sector clients. So if you are a governmental organization, if you are an education, if you are anything closely related to that, this is something you really need to look at. Take a look and say, does my team really need the full thing here? Or would I be able to meet my budget, fix my budget problems by moving to a different thing? And this is obviously a long-term kind of plan, but it's something you consider, and we'll send you a research paper that explains it all. Vince?
So some other considerations to do: license reviews. A lot of times your reseller or Microsoft will try to offer like a quarterly review with you, go through what you purchase and kind of see what you have out there. And as Sean said, that can help you sometimes. It can also be a way to find out if you're under licensed in areas, and maybe find ways to look at, maybe find options that they may see that there's an audit that they may want to do. A good way to get around that is kind of have your own internal reviews. This is where we can help you. We can have annual reviews or quarterly reviews as often as you want to kind of see how you're using the software, where you're using it. By doing that now can help before you get to your annual agreement, before the review, before the next payment comes through, any true ups. It can also help with any of the unbudgeted surprises that you may have. You know, we can work with the different teams, kind of track the licensing that you're using. That way, you know, ongoing about what you're using and what to expect at the next renewal. Geographic locations. This is an area not necessarily in licensing, but more of a technical area. We've seen several customers that have geographic locations throughout the globe. There's different security requirements in different areas, or different countries may have, you have to have this option or this option. And by doing so, you can't access the full Office 365, for this example, 365 tenants that are there. You can't use those same security terms in this location or this global location. So there are some areas that are out there that have customers have had issues with, that the publisher or reseller may not always tell you is there. Here again, this is where we can come in, we can help you understand maybe how some of this is going, and just kind of see, so it's not a surprise for you. You can prepare for it. And if you are experiencing this, how you can use some of these other areas to help you save, how you can negotiate that with Microsoft, because now you're spending more money managing the solution when you shouldn't have to. And now you can use that to go with Microsoft or the reseller to kind of maybe get some discounts or some other things from the publisher to help you use the product more effectively. Okay, another area, security. You know, when you're using global type things, it's always important to understand you have the same security requirements for your organization that subscription is going to offer. Some offers, like for the government, may have certain lockdown issues, and you have to make sure that the solution you're looking at through Microsoft subscription is going to give you those security tools. Or if you get those security tools, is it going to be an extra fee? Is it going to be an extra payment you have to make? Or is it included, and maybe they're trying to sell you another solution on that that's already covered by this on here. Here again, that knowledge is power in dealing with these agreements and dealing with what you're going to pay. So we'll help you understand that. We can help you see the costs and understand each of these licenses. A big one, another big one's downtime. If the publisher goes down, you know, are you going to have, do you have a hybrid solution? If you need that hybrid solution, how's that going to affect your licensing? And that, make sure you have that on-prem and on-cloud solution. Another consideration is use competition to your favor. If you've been using Microsoft for a while, if you've been in this, I've been doing this probably for about 25, 26 years now. I know when I first started, there really was no competition to Microsoft. People said they were going to switch to something else, or even Linux when it first came out. Microsoft knew people weren't going to do it, and they had that attitude of, you know, you're kind of stuck with this, you're going to do it. Now we have things like Google out there, Google Apps that weren't available years ago. Now it is, and a lot of customers are going to that. Microsoft sees that now as a competitor. We can help you understand how you can use that to save on these agreements, to use that to your advantage. Some of the server licensing. Some of the servers are now offering subscription type licensing where you pay the fee at the end of the agreement, you either buy out the license or you continue the subscription. Which is better? Is it better to keep the subscription going or to keep the to buy the license out right out? Here again, this is where we help you. We help you understand. You can see those options, the pricing options that are there, and we help you see the pluses and minuses of it. We're not going to get the marketing spin that you're going to get from Microsoft or the reseller. We don't really care which option you go with. We just kind of care that you're going to understand why you're buying it and if you're saving money and why you're spending it, and you can push that higher up in your organization and explain why the money you're spending. That's a big area that I've seen where a lot of customers have that issue with maybe the publishers, is that they buy this and it's hard for them to really explain why the money's being spent. So how does the future look? Microsoft has stated that they're probably going to move most, if not all, their software to cloud-based solutions or subscription type solutions. It's good to plan for that, understand how it's going to affect your network, how it's going to affect your environment. Is it going to affect you in areas where you have security, where you can't upgrade software all the time? Is it important to put in your environment now? Prepare that environment now to plan for these changes. Again, real quick, some takeaways. Prepare for this per user subscription. Make sure you understand how that works, how it's going to affect your environment. And then big thing to remember is software licensing compliance is still going to be a concern with cloud licensing. Even though it looks like it won't, it's still going to be an issue that's going to affect you and can affect you and can be a cost surprise to you.
All right, real quick, how can we help you? Well, I just want to let you do real quick, what are our two programs? We have a managed services program that will keep track of all of your Microsoft software asset management needs for you. You barely have to do anything. We'll take care of it on an ongoing basis, and you will be prepared for any audit or any migration or anything like that. And if you would like a point in time review because you're thinking about moving to the cloud, or maybe you just want to keep things the way they are, but you would like an opinion that is confidential, we can supply that. We are not a Microsoft partner. We have no contractual obligations to talk to them. And we have a second look program. We will look at your Microsoft estate, and we will do a review. And a lot of times we say to our customers, hey, we're going to save you money and we're going to keep you from failing your next audit because you had a couple things wrong. So again, that's free. Call us up. We'll take care of that for free because it helps us too, because then you see savings and you see we're a great company. You might want to hire us for something else. So one more slide, Vince. So just to wrap this up real quick, I know there were a lot of questions. We're really at the end of time here. And a lot of these questions you guys asked are pretty much, it depends on your particular situation. So instead of trying to run through them now at 100 miles an hour, we're going to follow up with you guys afterward. We're going to send you detailed. Well, a couple of you were going to send you questions kind of saying, well, give us a little more information. Most of the rest will give you some information to say, here's a couple of options for you. Again, I'm going to send you my Microsoft licensing guide. We're going to send you a link to this video so you can watch the whole thing if you want to again. And we're going to send you the wonderful white paper we wrote on bundling specifically for governments. So all that together, we use Microsoft products ourselves. We have nothing against Microsoft. We use Google products. We use all kinds, just like you do. If you have any more questions, please contact us at info@miroconsulting.com. Call us up at 732-738-8511, extension 1208, or visit us on the web at miroconsulting.com. Again, please, if you didn't get your question in time, send it to this address. We're going to follow up with you maybe an hour or two. We just got to get a chance to send the video online. Thank you very much for attending. I hope this was valuable. Give us a call if you need us. Thank you.